What's happening, guys? Peter Von Panda here. Another As Seen on TV. Of course, I was watching TV one evening and I saw my boy, Hunter Ellis, former Navy fighter pilot and award-winning TV host. Thanks for watching the show. Practical to Tactical? Was that you, Hunter? Was that you? Practical to Tactical? I like that show. Anyway, didn't last for very long. But they're advertising an Atomic Beam USA light. 5,000 lux, adjustable focus, spotlight to floodlight, 5 beam modes, high, medium, low, and SOS strobe. So I thought, why not check it out? It's probably not unlike a lot of flashlights I have, but obviously they're putting a nice little ad campaign. I don't know if you ever watch a show Pitchmen about Billy Mays and Sully, but one of the things that I learned in one episode is they were talking about what sells on TV, and for some reason flashlights sell really well. So it comes in this little blister pack here, and what I like, small things keep me impressed, is it looks like there's a little tab here, so I can, oh, it broke! So I can kind of pull the back open without having to cut all the way around. I kind of hate that, but it's obviously not working super slick, but yeah, it's working. So this is a true unboxing. This is how it comes. I think this flashlight is generally about $30, depending on, you know, your shipping and handling and things like that. A couple things I want to point out here is this is how the flashlight comes. It says it requires, where does it say? On the front, oh, right there. Requires 3 AA batteries or 1 rechargeable lithium-ion battery, 18650. Not included. I'm actually kind of bummed about that because there's a lot of flashlights, a lot of decent flashlights that come with batteries, and this one does not. And in fact, what it says here on the side is bullhead.com. So I don't know if that's the manufacturer. You can probably check that out. Here it is. This thing is not small, the smallest thing ever, but it's kind of this nice black anodized flashlight. Actually, what I saw here is this thing was loose, so I'm going to take it off. You know, this crown top, and there's the big glass lens, and it's round, you know, like a top quarter of a sphere. And then you can see that Cree LED right there, a little narrowed edge. So obviously that's how you get to it. I'm not really thrilled that it wasn't really tightened down, and that it doesn't look like there's any gasketing or anything in there. So well, I'm not worried that this isn't waterproof. I can't even really tighten it down hard enough that I can't open it out. Maybe that's partially intentional. You zoom it by moving this in and out, and you can see here they have some zoom instructions. In, out, 1x to 2000x, you know, pretty standard. It's kind of ribbed here below it, so you can see it's got a pretty long travel. And if we look at it here, little Cree, big Cree, little Cree, big Cree, and kind of a, like I said, castle edge here. Knurled handle, kind of looks just like a one of those asps, those nightsticks, those collapsible nightsticks. You know, it's the knurling isn't really deep and not really aggressive. It's actually pretty slick, so I wouldn't trust that, just that. You know, no pocket clip. I'm a little bummed about that. I really do like when flashlights have pocket clips, because that way I can put it, even if it's in my pocket, the clip is on the outside, so I know right where it is, and I can just grab it and pull it out of my pocket. So I kind of like that clip. Here's a big, like, silicone yellow button on the back. And I think we're going to get to the batteries in the back here. So this back section, and a little lanyard that's already looped on, is where you get to the battery carriage. So here it is. O-ring on there? Yeah, a little O-ring right there. So that's what keeps this little bad boy waterproof. It does have a battery carriage in here, or you could potentially use, like I said, your bigger lithium battery. Now, I don't have one of the big lithiums on me, but I do have 3 AAAs, which I picked up from Amazon. So I'm going to go ahead and load this sucker up. Now, if you have that lithium ion, that's kind of nice because it usually holds a charge longer. Better power density, I think, so more power. And you can charge it on the road if you want. So it's not on. Hit the button. Oh, it's in the SOS mode. Interesting. And that's probably high, I'm guessing. Low. Strobe, obviously. And SOS. So I'm going to just turn it back on high, and if I can kind of half press it, can I get through all the modes? Yes. So if you don't turn it all the way off, you can absolutely get through the modes. Okay, so in this case, I turned it off on strobe, but it turned back on the SOS mode. I'm not real sure why I did that. But so now the key is, how does it work? I think this is pretty sturdy. We will kind of put it through its paces here and give it a shot outside and just make sure that light is truly 5,000 lux. I actually have no way of knowing how I would prove that it's actually 5,000 lux or not, but we'll just go use it. Guys, so outside, the sun has gone down here. I'm going to turn on this flashlight. And we're in SOS mode. And as you can see, I'm just kind of shining on some things here. And I did confirm that this thing toggles through each mode every time you power it on and power it off. So there, now we're in the high mode. And I know that because we were just in the SOS mode. So here we have the kind of the wide beam, and as you can see, nice big circular pattern. And if I push it out, which is going to be a little hard one-handed, no, it's not that hard, I can get it down to where you can see actually the outline of that Cree bulb there. It kind of is like a little square. Super bright up close, but you can certainly follow that light out into the yard and into the trees in the distance, no problem there. And if I pull it out, we might be able to illuminate. We definitely can illuminate. I can see the outline of the trees. There, we got it focused a little bit more there. You can see it's kind of like a floating box of illumination. Those trees are, you know, 80 feet or so out there. And obviously the grass and everything in between I can illuminate and, you know, open it up here and illuminate a little better. It's a little hard to see when I go on the wide, the wide beam there. But no problems, really bright flashlight. This could be useful for a lot of different stuff. This pencil beam is actually super nice. I'm kind of digging it. It's super bright. Up close and personal is where you can kind of see the difference here if I kind of go to a medium-sized beam. Now let's scroll through some of the modes here. This is that medium light. This is the low light, which is actually very ample, especially if you're working in a tent or in a campsite. This would be, you know, more than enough power and actually could be considered much brighter than a lot of people's flashlights. And then strobe, and then SOS. Okay, let's give it some final thoughts. All right, guys, so let me summarize my thoughts on the atomic beam flashlight here. You know, for 30 bucks, it's not a bad flashlight, but I have a couple of issues, and this is where I want you to think hard about what you buy. First of all, I am not a big fan that this crown piece unscrews and it doesn't ever get that tight. I'm sure you could figure out a way to get it tighter, but that it unscrews here and that there is no ring or gasketing as far as I can tell. Even on this little tiny ultrafire, if I unscrew the top piece here, you can see right there I have a little O-ring, just a standard O-ring, but I feel like, once you get to that O-ring, to tighten it down requires a little bit of effort, and I feel like I get a good seal there, but then it's also relatively tight, and it's not going to twist off. And this is, you know, a flashlight where you can get a 2-pack of these for like $6. So you're talking about only a few dollars for this flashlight. This flashlight didn't come with batteries either, so, you know, neither did that one. Or you could step up a little more and buy something like this TacLight TA50. If you didn't see the review on this, this is like a laser light, man. This thing is wicked. It is has a ton of modes. It is small. I mean, it's kind of the same dimension as this little ultrafire, but just a little bit longer. And it's super bright and super powerful. In fact, one of the one of my only issues with it is that right there it warns you this sucker gets hot if you leave it on the highest setting. So and you can recharge it right there. So this is a really great flashlight, but it's $50, so it's $20 more than that. But I think it's kind of in another league. Then on the other hand, you have something that's really cheap and I think is a pretty good value. Step this up just a little bit to the $10, $15 range, and I think you can get a flashlight that's kind of like this. Now, a lot of this is marketing, etc., etc. But the other thing that seems to be unique about this flashlight, which I'm not sure why it is, because it doesn't seem to be this way on other flashlights, is the fact that indeed, when I turn it on and turn it off and turn it on again, it cycles through all of the modes. That's high. And what's going to be a little hard to see here is if I hit it again, that's medium. If I turn it off, turn it on, that's low. Turn it off, turn it on. Guess what you're going to get? Strobe! Turn it off and turn it on. I bet I'm going to get SOS. So you may say, Pete, that's not that big of a deal. Well, to me, it's a pretty big deal when I'm going through my camping gear. I've got it on, I turn it off, and then oh shoot, I need something else, and I turn it on and it's in strobe mode. And then in the commercial even, they show someone using it strobing in the attacker's face to throw him off. Well, in order to do that, you would need to go through all the modes and be like, okay, there's low. The next one is strobe. So I'll keep it right there so that if someone attacks me, boom, oh, I got you in strobe. So that's kind of dumb to me. It's a solid little flashlight and running on 3 AAA batteries is pretty nice. And as you saw, it's nice and powerful. But, you're paying and getting sucked in to a little bit of TV advertising at its finest. Not a bad flashlight. Not a great deal, in my opinion. Peter Von Panda, my Atomic Beam USA flashlight. Out!